Shuddho buddho vimuktaha Shrutishikharagiram mukhyatat paryabhumi Yasmajatam samastam Jagadidam amrtad vyapya sarvam Stito yaha Yasyam sham shabatarai Suranaravanajairakshidam sarvametad Tam bhumanam mukundam Hridigadamamalam Krishnameva prapadye Tam bhumanam mukundam Hridigadamamalam Krishnameva prapadye Madhya hridaya kashe Sadanandamayo Guru Udetu satadam samyag Swatmananda prabodhagaha Hari 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 Om Tat Sat Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru. As usual, we shall have 3 times the joint recitation of the most auspicious monosyllable Omkara. Take your mudra for it. Interlock the fingers and put them on your lap. Sit comfortably erect. Close your eyes. Open the mouth and heart as well as the mind. Join me. While reciting, every one of you must have the sankalpa that our joint recitation should spread upon the whole earth, showering its benedictions on all beings thriving upon the earth. This kind of a feeling will enable your mind to expand and will also empower it with various qualities which will help your performance and life in general in life, in world. Harihi, Harihi, Harihi. Hari, Hari, Hari. Many of you have heard about Bhagavad Gita. You have heard my own lectures for decades. But I am wondering whether you understand what does Bhagavad Gita represent. It is not just a dialogue which transpired all of a sudden in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Many years back, an advocate practicing in the High Court in Madras, in whose residence I was staying, he asked me, Swamiji, will you please write a book explaining how the thought process in Bhagavad Gita was evolved in this land. I was so happy to hear such a kind of a request cast in such beautiful words. Bhagavad Gita represents a thought process. And that thought process is not just Krishna's. Krishna has voiced it. And he has quoted the Upanishads in more than one place during his dialogue. He refers to Brahma Sutras also. Where from did Krishna get this knowledge? He was taught, though a little later, in Sandipani's Padashala. After he went to Mathura, his Upanayana, sacred ceremony, was delayed. Vasudeva came and performed it and took him to Sandipani's Padashala, and there, together with Sudama and with the other classmates, he continued a course of studies, as a result of which he had sufficient enlightenment. Then anybody is open to read books, listen to people, if necessary have special discussions, etc. In this way, Krishna had acquired this knowledge. Not that he all spoke from his heart all of a sudden. It is not so. And then his original talk we don't have. We only have a version of it documented by Vyasadeva. Sanjaya was the only person additionally present there, besides Krishna and Arjuna. This is not a version of Sanjaya. But Vedavyasa says Bhagavad Gita is part of the narration which Sanjaya was making to the blind king Dhritarashtra. But the author is Vyasadeva. After the Bhagavad Gita came into vogue, because of its importance, majesty, magnificence, and the comprehensiveness of the subjects it deals with. What are the subjects it deals with? It deals with primarily what? The Vedic message. Anything that is considered religious is there. Philosophy is there. Spirituality is there. And yoga is there. Under every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you will find Bhagavad Gita su Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. This is the description of Bhagavad Gita. Brahma Vidya is the first and last word in the sphere of knowledge in the whole creation. Brahma Vidya. Vidya means knowledge. Brahman means the ultimate reality. So knowledge exposing the ultimate reality is called Brahma Vidya. All Vidyas are subsisting upon Brahma Vidya. There is no knowledge which can be beyond or different from Brahma Vidya. That Brahma Vidya is discussed in various texts. The same Brahma Vidya is discussed in Bhagavad Gita also. This Brahma Vidya, Brahman, etc. are words which have their genesis in the Upanishads, Vedic Upanishads. So this Bhagavad Gita is a thought process that has evolved right from the most ancient prehistoric times, when Vedic thinking began in this great holy land. After the text came into focus, they found that it was so important, primary and ultimate, that it should be brought in the middle of Prasthanatraya. I have heard people tell me, tell others also, Hinduism does not have any primary text. They only have belief in so many gods and goddesses. Do you know how many gods we have? 33 crores. This is all we have. It's all belief. It is not so. We have perhaps the most ancient writing on the subject of spirituality, religion, yoga, and philosophy. The most ancient writing. And in that ancient writing, we have the Vedas and Vedic Upanishads to begin with. Then we go to Bhagavad Gita. Then it also incorporates Brahma Sutras. So generally they say Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita and Brahma Sutras. Bhagavad Gita has another status. What is that? It is a commentary made by Krishna on the Upanishad of wisdom itself. It is a commentary on the Upanishads, they say. It is so well put. Now this Bhagavad Gita, a knowledge of it will mean the knowledge of everything that is necessary in your life. Not only that, it will mean knowledge in the sphere of religion, philosophy, spirituality and yoga. Everything will be there. It is a yoga shastra understanding. And the subject discussed is Brahma Vidya. These two words I want you to remember. Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. Brahma Vidya and Yoga Shastra. Every chapter is given the name of a yoga. The first chapter is Vishada Yoga. Vishada means grief. Arjuna started shedding tears and he was totally grief-stricken. Krishna used that state itself for the discussion. And he was discussing Arjuna's grief. And he discussed in such a spiritual, philosophical, fundamental and ultimate manner that it became the greatest yogic science. So it is called Vishada Yoga. Every one of you will have Vishada in the world, in life. And the best way will be to read Bhagavad Gita so that the Vishada is transported or transformed into a yogic pedestal. Unfortunately, nobody knows that Vishada can be a very good and compulsive occasion for practicing yoga. If you give a yogic lift to Vishada, it becomes yoga sadhana. That is what became in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. I will discuss it during the course of our talk. So that is why I say I will speak only on Bhagavad Gita. And suppose I speak again and again on it, at least some of you will pick it up. There are 700 verses. Who is there in this assembly who has read and mastered all the 700 verses? If anybody is there, please stand up. Altogether 700 verses are there. So that is the reason why I said I will speak only on Bhagavad Gita. Now our subject is conflicts, how to resolve conflicts, then discover the source of joy. I think if these two are done, all the problems in our life, even the needs and necessities of life, everything is met. Whatever conflicts you have, every one of you has conflicts. There will be two people getting married with a lot of fondness. As age advances, conflicts start between them. When the children grow up, you have conflicts with the children. When they get married, conflicts start between the daughter-in-law, son-in-law and the other party. In the professional front also you have conflicts. In the societal front also, enough of conflicts is there. You may drive very patiently, carefully, cautiously. You will find another man driving in a very rash manner. So conflicts arise. Everywhere is conflict. A few years back, I had written an article, Conflicts, the Feed and Fruition of the Mind. Conflicts are what feed the mind. In the absence of conflicts, there will be nothing in the world at all. It is something like our roads having no friction. Can you drive any vehicle there without friction? We have the force of gravity operating anywhere upon the surface of the earth. Unless the force of gravity is there, you will not be able to live in this world at all. Our body, when it stands, when it walks, when it runs, it has to look after the gravitational pull of the earth and keep the balance. That is a science which doctors may be able to explain to you better. But understand that without gravity we cannot live in this world. And without friction there cannot be any movement at all. So all these conflicts properly looked into will start feeding your mind, making the mind healthier and healthier, more vibrant, more reflective, more flexible, more assimilative, more enriching, more getting enriched every day. This is what will happen. Now do you want me to discuss the very science of the genesis of conflicts and the ultimate solution therefore? Or shall I speak just a few sentences and finish? I propose to discuss conflicts. What is the genesis of conflicts? all conflicts. And how can you resolve them? Where is the solution? Where shall we look for? When you understand the message properly during the course of the talks, you will find you become an expert in resolving all conflicts, not only for you, for all people. First of all, try to know where conflicts arise and how their solution is evolved. I always say one sentence which is mine. Personal stories are the prevailing influence in mankind any time. Have you ever known it? Personal stories are the prevailing influence in mankind every time. American people will not like me to say mankind, so you can change the word into humanity. Personal stories. Suppose you have children at home. Do you know, if you have something to tell them in the form of a message from your experience, what is the wish in your heart? Suppose the mother tells the child, this is what I would like you to care for in life, my dear child. If you do so, I shall be happy. But if you don't do so, it will make me sorrowful. That sentence will stick to him. Anything you can convey. And generally we convey good things. The other day, a lady wrote to me, Swamiji, finally I have got an employment, I have got a teacher's job. I am going to leave. Please bless me, I will take up the job. I said, okay. But I added, do you know, your child is only 3 years old and you are leaving the child and going for an employment. If it is necessary for your economic needs, I have nothing to say. But her husband is well employed and it is not necessary for the wife to be earning in order to look after the family. Not necessary. I know them very well. But what I would like you to do is, be with the child until the child feels, I don't want my mother. Say when they grow old, 13, 14, 15 years, children will start saying, we have our friends now, we will not listen to you. So until the child says so, the proximity of the mother and the father is necessary for them. What is the role of a woman in this world? You tell me. Let the world be advanced in any direction, to any extent. The role of the mother is to get married, be pregnant, and have a couple of children at least. Bring them. Otherwise the humanity will not survive. I think in foreign countries, some of the European countries, maternity leave is very, very long. They can take maternity leave up to 2 years, subject to some rule and regulation. What do you mean by maternity? Is it a personal need? Is it a family need? Or it is a societal need? It is a societal need. So in allowing maternity, there is a lot of consideration to be had. Similarly, I say, a marriage is a societal event. It is not a domestic event. It is a societal event. If a girl is to be married, everything should be done by the people around to ensure that the girl will be married properly. If any kind of a help, financially including, is necessary, people should be ready to provide. Let us understand what is our society and what is our life. So personal stories are the prevailing influence. Where from will you get personal stories? If I tell you about X or Y, one person will hear and he will remember. And the person about whom I say, he is only a figure known to me and known to you when I tell you. That cannot institute a cultural and a societal transformation in any country whatsoever. So we must have some kind of a history to provide before them. In our country, we are very great and blessed because we have two epics in our land. One is Ramayana and the other is Mahabharata. I don't know whether you have ever thought about it. There are two distinct personalities in India. Only two. One is Rama of Treta Yuga, another is Krishna of Dwapara Yuga. If these two personalities are taken away from our society, you will have nothing left in the way of Hindu Dharma or Hinduism even. Understand it well. Understand it very, very well. Rama and Krishna have such a place which your son and your daughter will not have. Our Prime Minister's children will not have. It is ingrained in the society. And how is it these two personalities were ingrained? Ingrained, we cannot say. It's very, very difficult. I would like our government to go into the subject, if they can and they will. How is it in the remote days? This education about Ramayana and also Mahabharata, it was reached to the corners of the land, to all the remote corners. What is that process by which they communicated this wisdom about Rama, Krishna, etc. to such remote corners? Even now in India, the tribal belts, I don't think education has reached them. How many years have passed after independence? 76 years or so have passed. We have not been able to reach education into the remote tribal areas. And what are we worthy of then? At the same time, with no modern facilities which we have now, our ancient people were able to take the educational treasure and deliver it to the nooks and corners of India. Even in the Vanavasis you will find people have their own crude forms of stories of Rama and Krishna. They start reciting them. They make a festivity for it. We have Ramayana on the one hand and we have Mahabharata on the other. Mahabharata was written 5,000 years ago. To be true, 5,162 years ago. Ramayana was written in Treta Yuga. So I cannot give you a figure now. It is an incredible figure. During such a long period, how is it that this Ramayana and Mahabharata both have remained in the society? The original Ramayana written by Valmiki, everybody looks for it. We want the original script. That is what everybody wants. If you take Ramayana, in Ramayana you will find many conflicts. Am I clear? In Rama's life, what kind of conflicts he had? His father had decided to crown him. Coronation was fixed. On the previous day, he had undertook the austerity for the coronation. Water was brought from several oceans and rivers, etc. And he observed the vow. Next morning he was ready, took his bath. Both Rama and Sita were ready. They were waiting for the call from the father. The sun started rising, rising, rising. It became 9 o'clock, 9:30, no word from the father. And suddenly came a word from Kaiyeyi. So when he went there, the father is lying on the ground, shedding tears, almost lifeless. He inquired, what was the reason? Then Kaiyeyi said, it is because of his weddedness to the promises he had made to me. You will not be crowned today. Instead, Bharata will be crowned. Only this much, my dear stepmother. Only this much. You know what he suddenly said? Before the sun sets today, Rama will have left Ayodhya. I only want some time to see my mother and the other elders who will be upset at the news. I want to console them and leave, he said. Can you imagine a greater conflict than what Rama faced? He was to be crowned. And it was Kaiyeyi who communicated to him a decision his father had made. Suddenly came the stepmother and said, you will not be crowned. Instead, my son will be crowned. He said, I am very happy, let him be crowned. Send word to him. How is it that Sri Rama was able to do it? You also have a body, a mind, an intelligence, an ego. Rama did not have anything more than what you have. And he suddenly said, I shall. What about abandoning Sita? What about ultimately he had to abandon Lakshmana also? He abandoned Lakshmana. Lakshmana suddenly went into the Sarayu river, got into it and disappeared. He was supposed to behead Lakshmana. Vasishtha also said, he should be beheaded because you had promised. But how to do it? So suppose you behead him, Lakshmana will not be alive. So there is one step, abandon him, then also he will not be there. So Rama abandoned him. Without any kind of a resistance from his mind. If he had, he sublimated it. He overcame it. And after sending Lakshmana, he also went to Sarayu river. My dear souls, you are refusing to learn history. You are refusing to learn history. History has always a complaint that we are never learned and we are never taken lessons from. This is the complaint of history. Bharata came. He was not willing to share, willing to accept what the mother did. What is rejected to my elder brother is equally abandoned by me, he said. If Ayodhya crown is not for my brother, it's equally not for me. Finally he went to entreat Sri Rama. He went to Chitrakuta and their conversation is beautifully recorded. My dear souls, this is India. The way the two brothers talked in Chitrakuta, there was a Valmiki to record it. Otherwise it would have disappeared into the air. You should read it, the discussion they had. For a period, the Ayodhya throne started swinging like a cradle, disowned by Rama and disregarded by Bharata. Finally, Bharata said, give me at least your sandals, slippers. And he got them, put them on his head, started shedding tears and he went back. He refused to be in Ayodhya. He said, I will not be ruling from Ayodhya. This is a seat and a throne for my brother, not for me. So he went to Nandigrama and started ruling from there on a specific condition. At the end of 14 years, if you don't reach here, I shall immolate myself. And on the last day, Sri Rama arrived. from Lanka in a plane. What do you see here? When the news was communicated to Sita that my brother has asked me to abandon you, please excuse me, Lakshmana fell at the feet and begged for pardon. Sita immediately spoke back. There was sharp questioning on the part of Sita. If you want me, I will discuss it one day, quoting Kalidasa, who has portrayed it very, very well. What is the conflict which our mind cannot assimilate at all, I am asking you? Every day, at the end of a 16 or 17 hour interaction, throughout your wakeful period of the day, what is happening? In less than half an instant, the mind completely obliterates all the interactional impacts which have taken place for 16 to 17 hours. And then it pushes you to sleep. If it can obliterate and wipe off all the interactional impacts of 16 and 17 hours of the day, and this it does every day, tell me what is the power of your mind. Are you with me? I doubt. There will be birth of child, death of people, so many kinds of separation, disheartening news, great sorrow, great misery, fault finding, accusation, many things will take place during the 16, 17 hours. But all of them are wiped off by a single mind inside the body. And you are put to sleep. And every day it does it. So is the mind powerful enough to completely assimilate all impacts in life or not? Give me an answer. Keeping such a mind, what is it that you are crying before conflicts? What is there in the world new? Everything is old. Whatever experience or episode you undergo now, something similar, even greater, would have taken place in the past. And the world has survived. And the world will make you survive. Whether it is death, disease or poverty, it does not matter. In the internet, I don't know whether the video is available. Somebody must have noted it. There was acute water shortage. So a herd of elephants started migrating. They started walking in a group. There was a mother, there was a child. A mother and her child. They were not able to keep pace with the herd. So the herd would walk for a distance and wait for the mother and the child to join. It went on and on. After some time, the mother and the child were not able to reach them. Finally, the herd left. The mother started struggling to take the child. Tried for some time. She could not take the child anymore. She left the child and went. Are you worse than elephants? Tell me. What greater motherhood can you claim than what the elephant has had? As human beings, are we greater mothers? Motherhood is the same. Why did the mother do so? And what happened to the child left? Think for a moment. You are a frog in the well, a frog in the well. Refusing to think. Think of the society at large, the country at large, the world at large, and let your mind expand. What kind of a conflict? Oh, किसी का मरण हुआ, किसी की शादी हुई, बस conflict. What is all this? If a grown-up son has done something, even against your wishes, etc., understand that he is an adult son. He should live by himself. The time has come for me to completely reconcile with whatever the grown-up son does and keep quiet. If you want, purchase a lock and put it on your tongue. What is this? He is a grown-up son. Can you arrest him? To be an adult means to start thinking independently, have choices and selections and follow them. Grow to that level. When the son grows, you should also grow. Only your age grows, but not the mind and the intelligence. That is your problem. Everywhere you will find conflicts. When Sri Rama refused to return, what did Bharata do? Give me at least your slippers. I will not be in Ayodhya. I will go away from there or rule from Nandigrama. He evolved a method. In the case of abandonment of Sita, Sita accepted it, lived. Instead of one child, she had two with the blessing of sage Valmiki. All are conflicts. Conflicts in all these cases led to the mind picking up greater and greater power of assimilation. When anything is assimilated, the mind becomes enriched and empowered. And the glory of Rama, the glory of Sita, the glory of Lakshmana, the glory of Bharata, all only increased. They are dearer to us. Dearer to us. What do you understand? You may make half a dozen buildings in Jamshedpur. Do you think you will become glorious? Who will remember you? Do you know the name of your grandfather's father? Who will remember you after 2 or 3 generations? What is it that we are looking for? As humans, can we not think better and better? In the case of all conflicts described here, you will find the victims succeeded in assimilating all of them exceedingly well. By that process, they all grew stronger, deeper, loftier, and more sublime. Now we go to Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita consists of 700 Sanskrit verses. It begins with the conflicts that took place on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Bhagavad Gita starts from, what is the first sloka of Bhagavad Gita? Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveda Yuyutsavaha Mamagah Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. In the great battlefield, which has a dharmic cultural background and influence, both the armies assembled equally, but what did they do? What did they do? Everybody knows that the armies coming to the battlefield would fight. So the question of Dhritarashtra is very significant because he was told the Mahabharata war started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days had passed. On the 10th day, Arjuna was able to de-seat Bhishma Pitamaha from the chariot. When that took place, Sanjaya himself could not control his heart and emotions. He rushed to the blind king and said, Sanjayo ham Maharaja, Namaste Bharadarshabha. I am Sanjaya, my dear king, prostrations to you. I have come to report that Bhishma has fallen from the chariot. Bhishma has fallen? Arey, what is this? It is impossible. How could he fall? Who made him fall? I am not able to get my breath. Once he is gone, what is there left aside? Everything is gone. Bhishma was after all a great and a glorious person. He was invincible, that is a different factor. But he was adorable, glorious in every way. He is the person who, for the sake of the father, to marry a girl whom he fell in love with, decided that I will not marry, I will become a celibate. What kind of a conflict he faced and how did he unravel it, transcend it. When you tell me, I am clearly able to understand that somebody from the opposite army alone has made him fall. That is Arjuna. Arjuna and Pandavas are glorious and righteous people. How could they think of committing this kind of a crime? Fighting the grandfather who brought them up, keeping them on his lap, giving him morsels of food while they were young. Such a grandfather, they could fight? I am not able to understand. Dharma adharmo belavan samprapa idime madihi. I feel adharma has grown. It is superior to dharma. This is what I have to understand. How could Pandavas think of perpetrating this heinous crime of sending sharp arrows at Bhishma, the Pitamaha, in whose mind only fondness and blessings are there for the Pandavas? So what a great conflict, see? Then he said, I am not able to contain my mind. So stop your further narration of the war events. I want to know whether before the war, the actual discharge of arrows began, there was anything like a moral or a spiritual or a philosophical episode that transpired in the battlefield. Because to think of killing Bhishma was by no means possible for the Pandavas. They are kind people, noble people, loving people. How could such people think of perpetrating this crime? So the subject and the possible event would have created a lot of conflicts in their mind. Were these conflicts made known? Were they discussed? Were they dissolved? I find one possibility. What is that? Sri Krishna was there as the charioteer along with Arjuna, and Arjuna perpetrated this crime. So the conflict should have been in the mind of Arjuna. And did he let Krishna know and Krishna offer any answer to it? If there was any dharmic conversation or dialogue in the battlefield before the actual discharge of arrows began, Sanjaya, tell me that. Let me also console my mind as Arjuna possibly would have consoled. I would like to know. This is the meaning of the verse. Kim akurvata Sanjaya. Before fighting began, what did the Pandavas do? About the eventuality that you are reporting to me, it was by no means easy. No means easy. So there must have been a lot of conflict in the mind of Arjuna in having to fight the grandfather. So just see. Was it not a conflict? The entire Mahabharata war itself? How could they resolve it? Bhagavad Gita gives you the answer for it. All conflicts were resolved. Whenever you speak of conflicts, you go into the object part of the conflicts. This is a conflict in me, that is a conflict in me. My son's marriage is a conflict. Daughter-in-law's behavior is a conflict. You are objectively identifying the conflict. But I would like you to take a diametric turn and find out where is the conflict, who or where it is felt. It is a conflict in your mind. So mind is the source of all conflicts. And where is the solution? Solution is in the intelligence. This intelligence is very close to the mind. It is an elder brother. If all conflicts are felt and made by the mind, and the solution is in the intelligence, in the understanding And in the preparation to face the conflicts and resolve them, tell me, where should you focus your attention? Here we come to a discussion of the human personality. Your personality itself has to be understood by you. Our personality is a composite. Composite means there are constituents in our personality, different parts. Our whole body and senses together, they form only the external gross body. But we are not the body alone. What is our body? Will you listen to me when I say that? Your body is nothing but the outcome of the food that you consume. It is made up of the food you eat, drink. And all the food items are matter. And your body is also a material mass, a physical mass. As matter is inert, your body and senses also are inert. They have no capacity or power or potential to generate an experience or knowledge. Shall I stop for you to assimilate what I have said? Do you agree and accept that your body is a material mass? It is an outcome of your food. If you reduce food, the body will grow weak, and maybe in 30 or 40 days it will die. It is completely made up of food, and it is matter alone. As matter, it is inert. So your body, including the eyes, ears, etc., senses, they cannot generate any experience or knowledge. They cannot. They do not. They have not made. So the question arises, every time we are experiencing, even after sleep, we wake up and then say, I slept. So experience is always there. And the body cannot generate the experience, senses cannot. So what generates is a question. Please take it up. It is the mind. Our mind is associated with the body, but it's not a physical part of the body. Without the mind initiating and willing the process, the body and bodily parts, including senses, cannot do anything at all. If I raise my finger, this is willed and wished and directed by inside. We speak about Swamiji, with the eyes we do not see. Yes, you see. But the vision is implemented by the mind. Suppose there is a tree standing in front. You want to see. It is about 20 feet away from you. You are here. So the mind says, look at the tree. So the mind employs the senses, directs the eyes. And then what happens? Light rays falling on the tree get reflected, touch the cornea, electrical pulses go to the brain center, and there is an imprint taken in the mind, and that imprint is what you see. The tree has not come to you. You haven't gone to the tree. It is an imprint. Where? Inside the body. By what? By the mind. In where? In the mind itself. Even your own body, you only have a mental imprint of your body for your experience. Am I clear or not? Huh? Huh? Ba. So is there any knowledge or experience which is external? The seeing process is inside. The seer is inside. The imprint is inside. So where is anything called a sensory experience? The experience is mental, mental, mental. The conflicts also are mental. And the solution is in the intelligence. There was a very good, great, noble king. He always loved people. And whenever his subjects came and asked for anything, he used to grant the wish. So he was, in a way, very happy, maybe a little proud also. So many people used to go to the king, seek many things, and everything was sanctioned. So one clever man one day went there and said, I have come here, you are a charitable person. I have a small prayer to make. Will you please grant it? He said, yes. I want to pass stool on the throne, he said. The king was taken aback. What will he say? He has to say yes. Such a simple thing. He said, very difficult. I will answer you. Please come after a week. Before that, the matter was discussed. The ministers and so on. This man alone is not wise. Wiser people are there. So he came. So the king said, yes, we will fix up a day and you do what you want. But there is one condition. You should not have a drop of urine fall on the throne. Bas, the whole problem finished. That man did not turn up. You should understand our intelligence is very, very intelligent. If it can create a problem, it can also resolve the problem. If X is clever, cleverer. How much of hijacking was going on here? To begin with, it was an innovation they made, hijackers made. So we could not do anything. But after some time, countermeasures were evolved. Our brains became active. Now there is no hijacking at all. One man's intelligence is always inferior to a pool of intelligences from others. So understand our intelligence is a problem. We have a great book called, what is that book? Oh. Huh? Oh. Katha Sarit Sagara. Katha Sarit Sagara. There are 1000 or 100 stories there. All of them are pertaining to human activity, ruling, kingdom, kings, etc. If anybody reads it, you will find that man will become very, very intelligent. It is all one story. Saugandharayana is the top ranking minister reigning everywhere. The message throughout Katha Sarit Sagara is a man of intelligence will always triumph in this world. For every problem there is a solution. The intelligence should become active. So you should understand that mind is what senses conflicts and the solution is inside the intelligence. Our history is full of instances to illustrate this truth. Bhagavad Gita, as I said, records the Kurukshetra events. Bhagavad Gita says, what has transpired first in the battlefield of Kurukshetra before the discharge of arrows. You know, this Bhagavad Gita was a dialogue which took place in Kurukshetra battlefield after the war cries had been raised by both the parties. War cries have been raised. Then suddenly Arjuna said to whom? To Krishna. Krishna, you should drive my chariot and take it to a point from where I can examine both the armies. Both the armies. After examination, I have to decide about the strategy I have to evolve to fight this great unprecedented war. So you take my chariot and stop it at a vantageous point from where I can examine the army. Krishna internally smiled and listened to. And Sanjaya puts it in a very nice manner. Dhanurudyamya Pandava. Dhanurudyamya Pandava. He lifted his bow because for the first time he got an opportunity to order Krishna. As a charioteer, he is under the command of the Rathi, the master of the chariot. So he gave a tall order. You know what Krishna thought? Arjuna was a close friend, very intimate, and he has been with him for a number of years. During all these long years of proximity with Krishna, never did Arjuna seek from Krishna anything like greater knowledge, higher knowledge, etc. Arjuna was also exposed to the Upanishads and other things. But he never thought of inquiring from Krishna anything about the mind, intelligence, or the eye, the soul, etc. So there was an inner hollowness in Arjuna, which Krishna knew very well. But he did not get an opportunity to redress it because Arjuna never sought. Here also he has not sought it, but he has sought it in a different context. Krishna knew very well that Bhishma was the commander-in-chief. Drona was standing by his side. Bhishma was the grandfather, kind, loving and blessing. Drona was the great master from whom Arjuna has imbibed all the skill in archery. And those people were standing together. So he said, I will go and stop the chariot right in front of both of them and ask him to examine the army to find out whether this is a war which he can easily fight. Can he fight it with the mastery of archery? Can he fight it with the magnificence of Gandiva? Will his Pashupadaastra be all-powerful and sufficient enough to fight this war? Or he needs something different from and greater? I will stop the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona, and he did and said, now observe the army. Bhishma Drona Pramukhadaha Sarvesham cha Mahikshitam Uvacha Partha Pashyaidan Samavedan Kurundi. Bah. Arjuna looked at Bhishma and Drona and so many of his relatives on both sides, and suddenly he started crumbling. His Gandiva he had lifted it up, simply fell. Slipped. He could not hold. Body started trembling. Mind started whirling like a whirlwind. The intelligence said, sinful war, you should never fight it, get away from here. What was left aside in him? Gandiva, his material acquisition, has slipped. Body is trembling, mind is whirling, intelligence counter-arguing. Now what is left in him? Nothing. He had not known anything about the eye, anything inside, which Krishna was pointing out during the dialogue. So he totally crumbled. And he could only look at Krishna fondly. I will not fight this war, he said. Placed his weapons down. Now you tell me, is there or can there be a greater conflict than this? What was Arjuna's grief, concern and anxiety? 45 lakhs of warriors were present. Minus 10, all were butchered in 18 days. I don't know whether the world has witnessed a war in which 45 lakhs of warriors were present. From how many kingdoms fighters had come, and the major part was with Duryodhana, and the lesser part was with Pandavas. 11 and 7, this was the equation. 11 by 18th with Duryodhana and 7 by 18th with Yudhishthira. Arjuna felt, I will be personally responsible for the murder of all these people. How can I contain the sin, the immorality? How can I fight my grandfather, who has given me food, keeping me on the lap in my young age? Pandava's father had died, Pandu. And having imbibed all the fighting skill from the teacher, how can I use piercing arrows? How can I discharge at him? Is it ever possible for a human mind, for a human intelligence? Is there not anything called morality and ethics in life? Under ethics, how can this war be justified? But everybody has come there to fight each other, either kill or get killed. Everyone individually has come to fight and kill or get killed. Therefore, where is the question of anybody unwillingly being forced to fight? Nobody wants to return from the war field defeated. Either they want to die there or walk back after having won. This is the individual resolution in everybody's mind. A fighter who runs away from the battlefield, he is called a coward. Can you imagine the conflict Arjuna had? Anything may cause the conflict. But when the conflict is experienced by the mind, the pressure is the same. There is no difference. It is an emotional crisis, an emotional conflict. It may be caused by marriage, by death, by any other episode, distrust, misbehavior, anything whatsoever, loss, gain. But after all, it is. And what was the impact in Arjuna's mind? Primarily, first grief. He started crying uncontrollably. Grief. Secondly, it was doubt and fear, delusion and ignorance. These were the impacts of the conflict. Even today, in any front whatsoever, you will have the same impact. Any conflict, what you experience will be grief. And you have doubt, you have delusion, you have ignorance, and you have fear. It is these five that Krishna treated by a 2.5 hour dialogue. Now you tell me, by discussing Bhagavad Gita, will you not be in a position to understand and deal with all kinds of conflicts? Because everything comes under this. For Arjuna, it was a challenge from the war field, that's all. Whatever may be the objective front, the actual conflict is felt in the mind. So when we understand that mind is the source of conflict and intelligence is the fountain of solution, I think the two can be put together and you can resolve all conflicts in human life. Am I clear or not? Huh? That is why I discuss Bhagavad Gita. See, for the first time, when I was in the ashram, a request came. We are producing a very good magazine to commemorate some 200th year or something like that. Swamiji, you should give us an article, Bhagavad Gita and Management. I have never heard such a subject even, so to say. Nobody has asked me. So I did not give much importance to it. So after some days, our Brahmacharini Pranati told me, Swamiji, they had come here, they wanted to see you, but we heard them and they went away. They are expecting a very good article to be written by you with a lot of regard and expectation they have asked, because we want this subject to be dealt with. So I have prepared an article. We have to decide whether it should be sent or not. So I am explaining the whole event by saying that, just imagine, Krishna, in the course of 2.5 hours, an on-the-spot talk he gave. What was the target? The target was Arjuna's conflict, giving him clarity. He set it so beautifully in his mind as an objective to be achieved, and dealt with the mind in such a manner, aroused the intelligence of Arjuna in such a manner, using his own tool called his intelligence, and he accomplished what he has said. Normally, a book like Bhagavad Gita would have taken several years of introspection, examination, etc. if a text like that is to be written. But that conversation has become such a great and invaluable text that it is attracting the attention of people all over the world. Anybody will take 10 or 15 years to write a book like this. But Krishna, by an on-the-spot delivery, simply dialogue of 2.5 hours, he accomplished the whole. And finally, what is the result? Did you hear what I said? Did you understand? Is your delusion gone? Are you stable? Arjuna said, I have heard you well. I have understood the message. I have become stable. I will take back my weapons and I am ready to fight, if necessary, a dozen Mahabharata wars. Can there be a greater management doctrine than this? I think psychological experts should read Bhagavad Gita and find out what are the different dimensions and qualities the human mind can imbibe, can cultivate, can gain and master. In doing an action, what are the causes behind, provocations behind? How can an action be identified, classified? How many different classes are there? How much of information is there? It should become a great subject of research in the greatest academic centers of the world. Sometimes people come to me and then say, we are doing a research on Bhagavad Gita, the social impact of it. So I told them, these are the social elements. They submitted their thesis, they got the PhD. It's such a wonderful book. Unless Krishna was the best of a manager, do you think he could have managed the situation, understood the need of Arjuna, handled the conflicted mind, gave him clarity, and he has achieved the goal? And right then Arjuna said, I will fight the war, and he fought and won. The skill, the managerial skill which Sri Krishna has demonstrated, has manifested, I think is unparalleled. Everywhere, the mind and intelligence, the mind and intelligence, the mind and intelligence alone are discussed. I have told you something, using intelligence as a tool and communicating to your intelligence. Once you have understood it, it is for you to honor that understanding, to adhere to it, and then behave properly. Your body is a dead body. It is remaining active only because of the mind. Mind animates and activates it. It is otherwise dead. Okay, we shall stop.